Good evening, Gadsden City Schools family, and hope that you've all had a great holiday weekend. We are back starting a new week, and it's a little bit rainy after all of the fireworks, but nothing more quite like the fireworks we've had to endure for these last few months dealing with the pandemic. Of course, prior to this meeting with you, we were talking about the closing of schools, and so today I want to kind of give you an update on the opening of schools. I know many of you have been inquiring about when we plan to reopen schools and what those plans are. So I want to kind of give you a brief synopsis of that this evening. First and foremost, we are so grateful to our staff and our family who have endured this shutdown since March the 16th, and pray that you are pleased with the work that we were able to do with your children over the summer, over the spring actually, and in this early part of the summer. But little bit do we know, it'll be time to start school again. And we plan on opening school on August the 11th in the traditional way. There's a lot of concern and trepidation about what that's going to look like. But what I want to share with you first and foremost is we've tried to coordinate with our other two school systems, Atala City and Etowah County, to determine the best way to open schools that would be accommodating for our entire community, the city of Gadsden. With us having three school systems, we wanted to try to be as consistent as we possibly could. The fact of the matter, of course, is that we are three different systems made up of three different sizes, and our demographics aren't that much different, but there are some slight variations there. So as for Gadsden City, we have met quite frequently with our directors, and we've actually put together some committees to discuss some of the plans for openings, and we've been in regular contact and regular meetings, Zoom meetings, with our principals to discuss plans, not just for the central office or the system as a whole, but for the individual schools. And I've been very pleased with some of the input that we've gotten from them. So in a nutshell, we're going to open school on August the 11th in a traditional manner. However, we will offer some other options too. We will have some remote learning opportunities and some blended learning opportunities. So let's talk about what that means. Obviously, it would be our desire for us to be able to just open school as we normally would during any given regular school year. But this is not going to be a regular school year. We've had some meetings with our state superintendent, and all our superintendents have met as well this summer. And everybody realizes that this is going to be a difficult year coming up. But first and foremost in our mind is serving our kids as good a learning environment as we possibly can. And with that, we're giving our parents the options to send their kids to school or to opt for remote learning. And then the blended part of it that I mentioned will come in later. What I need, however, is for you as parents to go on our website and respond to the survey that we put out. We did submit a survey just a week or so ago asking you as a parent what your intentions are in regards to sending your kids back to school. So far, we've gotten about 1,400 responses, but we got 5,000 kids in our schools. So we're looking at about a 30% response rate, and so far, about 40% of you have said you want to send your kids back to school. I can't imagine not having small kids at home, what it's been like for you outside of the support that we have provided with our packets and various other instructional means. But you do have that option of sending your kids back to school traditionally or to accept the remote instruction. Now, what that's going to look like, again, is difficult at best, but we have to maintain the social distancing guidelines. We have some options for you in terms of the types of masks that you may use. In fact, I've got a few different ones that I've used here. Our traditional medical mask. You've got some customized masks that many people are using. And we even have some face shields that a lot of people are using as well. And we're not requiring, I know this is a tough thing to say, but it has not been mandated by the state or by the governor that you wear masks. But we are heavily encouraging you to send your children to school with masks as best we can. We'll try to provide. I want you all to know that a lot of what needs to be done in our school system is costly, and when we have secured some funds for things such as cleanliness, we want to make sure that our kids are in a clean environment the whole time they're in school. We've had discussed some options about whether or not kids will drink from water fountains or bring water to school. We prefer that you bring your own water. Won't go into a lot of details about that. Just again, want to give you something brief to kind of think about. But social distancing is going to be our biggest challenge because I want you to imagine if you're in a 625 square foot classroom where normally you have 24 kids there. Well, that 625 at 36 square feet per child is only going to allow about 16 or 17 kids in that classroom. So we're looking at possibly staggering some days. And again, don't hold me to all of this just yet. Just give you a brief idea as to what it's going to look like. So we may have some kids to come on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in person, and maybe Tuesday, Thursday virtual. So many of you are already familiar with virtual school. That's still in place for us. The remote learning will take place much the same way it did during the spring. We'll have some additional options that we're working on as well. Our learning management system will be Google Classroom, just as it always has been. Don't know specifically what would help you to understand and appreciate what the challenges are before us, other than to simply say to you, we're taking every precaution to ensure that if your child does return to school for face-to-face instruction, we will provide the utmost safety for that child. The buildings will be clean. The social distancing guidelines will be observed. If you choose remote, then of course you will be provided with every resource necessary for your kids to have a great learning experience. And I just hope that you will respond to that survey as quickly as possible. That is what's going to hold up our release of the entire plan for your perusal and understanding. And we hope to have that done as quickly as possible. So that's real brief, but we don't have so much time, I guess, on social media to share it with you. And we will be sharing this information with our board at tomorrow night's meeting as well. So hopefully this gives you an idea as to what our plans are, and you'll get more details about it later. Hope you enjoy your evening. Okay, so I try to keep these videos as short as possible to cover as much material as I can. So therefore, I'm back again to talk to you about something that you're probably very interested in, and that is how we're going to feed your kids and how are they going to get to and from school each day. So let's start with transportation. Of course, we will be using the same transportation system that we have been for as long as I can remember. And our big concern with that is the question as to how will we social distance in regards to transportation. Well, obviously, there may be some parents who will opt not to send their kids to school, some of whom may normally ride the bus, so that opens up some space. We've been discussing the possibility of limiting the number of students on the bus. That number is not firm yet, but the majority of our buses will hold about 44, 46 kids. We may have to cut that in half. That's not firm yet, but there may be as few as 23 kids on a bus at a time, which would stagger our routes a little bit, may cause some delays in the morning, some delays in the afternoon, so we ask you to be patient with us in regards to that. Our goal is to get our kids to school safely, not just from a riding standpoint, but from a virus standpoint as well. So that's one option. Once they get to school, of course, we plan on having our children to eat lunch in their classroom. So there's going to be very limited movement during the school day. Some people have suggested if you've got a middle school child, for example, possibility of teachers moving versus students moving. That's not firm. That's just a part of the conversation that we're having with some of our stakeholders and some of the people who are involved in our surveys. Now, I may not have mentioned that quite thoroughly with our staff yet, but those are the kinds of questions that many of you are asking or you are concerned about. So we want you to know that we are cognizant of those concerns and we'll be addressing them as well. Once again, every school is different. Some schools are more capable of social distancing than others are because of their structure and size. But we will be hopefully having kids to eat lunch in their classrooms so that there's limited access for big groups. Now, there are school systems around the state who are going to continue to use their lunchrooms. We're hopefully not going to do that. As far as our physical education classes, another question that's been asked, all physical education classes will take place outside. And so we're really concerned about that on the elementary level because that's a vital part of our day with elementary because of our regular teachers having an opportunity to actually have their kids away from them for a period of time for planning or what have you. But we are focusing on trying to make sure that we have as much outdoor activity as we possibly can. That includes lunch. It could be that at the high school, maybe even in middle schools, that some lunches will be eaten and consumed outside of the building. So that too is something that each individual school will have an opportunity to address. And so again, transportation, regular bus routes. If your kids are driving, no problem there. We just really want to keep them as far away apart as we possibly can. Again, I mentioned masks. Now, again, we're going to be providing our teachers with those face shields that I've shown you. We'll provide that for our teachers. We realize that at the elementary level and some middle school, hard to keep kids in masks. So therefore, we're not providing them. We may be able to provide some, but we're not mandating it because it has not been mandated to us. So therefore, again, I know I said this earlier, we want you as parents to send your kids to school with masks. One thing that's very important, we're not going to be able to check every kid's temperature every day when they come to school. So we want you as parents to do that. If you sense that your child is not feeling well, if you're able to take a temperature and realize that child's temperature is a little bit high, we need you to keep that child at home. Keep that child at home. Obviously, for us to do it all day, every day would greatly impact the amount of time that we have for instruction. And I think that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that there may be some of you who feel that we should be more and more responsible for that. But this is a concerted effort. This is a joint effort between us, the school system, and between you as parents. No one knows your kid better than you do. We're going to do the absolute best we can to provide for your child's safety while they're at school. And hopefully, with us working together, we can get through, this beginning of the school year at least. Unfortunately, we're hearing reports that the COVID cases are increasing around the country. Alabama is increasing, of course, not as bad as some of the other states that we've heard about, but regardless to that, school must go on, life must go on, and we ask you to join us in providing the best in safety that we can. And again, if you have questions, you can always send them to us on our website, and we'll try to answer as many of them for you as we can if the actual plan that comes out doesn't answer it for you. All right? Thank you again.